Good morning, everybody. Live from Chicago and Los Angeles, the home of the LA Rams. And why are the Chargers here? Over there is Tarbill. Down below, the Mouse, Tyler. How are you guys? Wait, hold on, guys. I got to tell you something. I am so excited for the first week of football that I think I just peed in my pants. I had to take them off. So now I'm sitting here naked down below. Don't scan the camera. Good morning, guys. How's everybody?
Doing well, doing well. It's opening, well, not opening day. We obviously had that Dallas and Tampa Bay game on Thursday night, but this is when the real football starts today, guys. Very excited.
Do you know it goes, I think, to the third week of February that there's going to be football all the way through until the third week of February, something like that.
Oh, it's the
I
best time of
love
the
it.
year.
Absolutely.
Okay, at what point do you get freaked out? Somebody's got to lose today. You don't control on the field, but at the end of the day, when do you get freaked out? 0-2, 0-3?
I'm not worrying about my team until it gets to week 6, and I'm sitting a couple games
First of
back
all,
from
Tarbill and I
6
are worried about you, Tyler, anyways, because look at your hat. My God, look at that. How much did that cost you?
So I got it in Lambeau. It was like $20 at the Packers team store.
That's
Is Lambeau cool?
1950 too much.
Hey, this is the 1252 Sports Entertainment Network. We're the world's best fantasy show. You know why? Because we're three real guys. You got an old fart in me. You got two geniuses here. And we're going to go down every game that's on the slate today. I don't think there's any major injury news or anything that we need to know about. Is there, guys?
No, so this is the first time since I can remember where most of your stars are all playing week 1. You have a couple guys missing, well, one guy in particular missing for off the field stuff, but most of the stars around the NFL are good to go for week 1.
Including
gonna be an
if
exciting
anybody
day.
including if anybody tuned in, Saquon Barkley's going to play today. I guess the betting line is how many carries will he have, but whatever the case may be, we'll see. But let's do a little bit of talking first about Thursday night's game. Applaud the NFL. That was an instant classic. It was just phenomenal. And yes, to our listeners and viewers out there, I lost a buck to Tarbill and Tyler because I said Brady would throw 5. You would have taken the bet if I said Brady would have thrown 4. What's with the guy? I mean, he looks like he's in his 20s.
Yeah, so I saw one of the stat breakdowns that they had for Brady during the game is that his release has actually improved significantly over the last 3 or 4 seasons, I believe, to now his release is like in the low 3s. The guy's just a mastercraft student of the game. I mean, he's constantly improving and evolving. He's 44 years old and looks like he could play another 5 to 10 years without any issues. I mean, obviously he's not going to go till he's 50. I think he's going to get 1 or 2 more years.
Don't say obviously.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think we're going to find out. The best part of that entire game, when Dallas, with a little over a minute left, kicked the field goal to go ahead, and they showed Brady on the sidelines. Did he have a look like if looks could kill? And all day on Friday, Sports Talk Radio was talking about you don't give Tom Brady that much room. There were actually people saying that Dallas shouldn't have kicked the go-ahead field goal. They should have kept on running to take seconds off the board away from Brady. That's how scared the NFL is of this guy.
It's absolutely crazy to think that a guy at 44 is still playing at such a high level and such a high level of consistency. I mean, over 400 yards passing for a guy that's 44 years old. Who was the last 44-year-old quarterback to ever do that? No one. I mean, Brady's obviously obviously the oldest in the league. I believe before him there was a 42 or a 43-year-old player, correct me if I'm wrong, that was a quarterback. And you look at a guy that was 40
How
in the
old was Brees in his last?
I think you're breaking up there. If you're asking how old Breeze was his last year, I think he was 39. If I'm not wrong.
I believe that's correct as well. 39
we'll
years
see him
old
tonight,
is
right?
There you go. I think you're a little better now.
Are we
Okay.
having a little connection problem? Okay.
just
All
a
right.
little bit. You're a little
Tampa
delayed,
Bay,
but
a little bit of let's take fantasy into it. Is Leonard Fournette the actual starting running back on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Like I've been saying.
yeah, I
That's
don't think
true.
it matters either. You don't need a running back in that system to be successful. I mean, you've got Tom Brady.
Smartest move I made was Antonio Brown picking him up in like the 8th or 9th round, and boy, did he play a great game.
Oh, he had a phenomenal game. For Dallas, Amari Cooper had an excellent game for me. Got me 32.5 points in our fantasy league, so that propelled me to be projected to win 75 to 25% here in week 1. So I'm off to a good start.
That's a nice way to start the season.
Do you look at those two?
Right.
I'm 66-34 predicted to win, and I'm not going to win. That's for sure. Cowboy fans, you have nothing to worry about. You know, I hate to say that was an emotional win for them, even though they lost, because on paper they won. You changed the kicking game. On paper they won, and by the way, that was offensive pass interference at the end of the game on Godwin.
That was.
Yes, it was.
There was no doubt about it. That should have been called. And why it wasn't, who knows? But whatever, the Cowboys should be 1-0 and Tampa should be 0-1. In reality, we have to look at that. Let's go on. Early games. We got the Seahawks visiting the Colts. The stuff that I read this morning, Quentin Nelson and Carson Wentz are cleared to play for the Colts. Let's go down. Seattle on the board. Wilson, what do you think he's going to pop into?
I think he's a mid-range quarterback 1 for the week.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you like Metcalf?
Oh, absolutely. Love DJ Metcalf.
You're always starting Metcalf.
For my purposes. Chris Carson?
You're always starting Carson, too. He's one of your studs. You used a 3rd, 4th round pick on him. You got to start him, especially week 1.
Here's one of my questions going over to the Colts. Too many people, everything you read, especially when he had his foot surgery and everything you read about, Carson Wentz. To my knowledge, hasn't he been a pretty bad quarterback for the last 2 seasons?
So he's been an absolute bum the last 2 seasons. The silver lining, and we touched on it a week or 2 ago here on the show, is that he's back with Frank Reich, who under Frank Reich, Carson Wentz played his best football. So I think a lot of people are just anticipating that he's going to catch that lightning in a bottle, that great chemistry that he had with Frank Reich originally in Philadelphia, and he's going to come out and be a really big stud. Now, with that being said, I don't have confidence in him. I think he's a bum, and I think it was a horrible pickup by Indianapolis, but that's just my thought.
So I have high expectations for Carson Wentz in Indy. So you got to remember his last couple of years in Philadelphia, he was playing with a garbage O-line, and now he's reuniting with Frank Reich. He's got a better system. He's got one of the best offensive lines in the league. If they can protect him, I think he avoids injury, and I think he has a solid season this year.
And for anybody, if Tyler's right about that, the pick, if he's still on your waiver wires and you can change before the games today, I'd look at Paris. What's Paris's last name? Campbell? Because T.Y. Hilton's out.
I think Paris Campbell's dinged up right now as well.
Okay. Before we move on.
He returned to practice. He's good to go.
Before we move on, I'm in a 12-man league. And I usually make what I consider fair, taking advantage of trades. I have tried to trade Jonathan Taylor to all other 11 teams in my league. Nobody bit. I even offered him even up for Trey Sermon, and I got turned down. Is that a good thing I didn't trade him today? Tyler, do you think he's going to run wild?
Oh yeah, especially with Quentin Nelson coming back, that offensive line is going to clear the way for him.
Quentin Nelson is the best offensive lineman in football. I mean, anybody can run through a hole that that guy creates. He's outstanding.
Not me. I couldn't. Hey, let's go to the game of the week, game of the season. The Jags go into Houston. I don't know why the commissioner hasn't stepped in, and I'm being serious. Houston is an embarrassment. I think we were talking before the show about this, that I asked both of you, do you think Houston's going to go 0-17? And I think Tyler said, if they don't win this game, they're going to go 0-17. I mean, what's going on there? Would you play anybody on the Texans?
Brandon
Thanks,
Cook.
Fat.
Brandon Cook.
Why? Are you going to trust Tyrod Taylor?
I think Tyrod Taylor's a much better quarterback than a lot of people give him credit for. I think Tyrod Taylor has been dealt a horrible hand his entire NFL career. You know, he's been plagued by little injuries here and there.
Let's look at if Trevor Lawrence is the second coming of JC, he really has some nice offensive weapons there on Jaguars. How do you pronounce a guy's name?
Chenault.
The wide receiver?
Yeah, Laviska Chenault.
I'm telling you, 2 touchdowns today from Trevor. Trevor's going to blow the Texans out. I have the game 34-7.
Oh.
And
I would
Jets'
give
defense is a good pickup against Texans today. It's going to be go into the stands in Texas. Hey, I got to stop you for a second. You guys watch any college football yesterday?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there really a pandemic going on? I saw 100,000 people without masks in every stadium across the country.
Only in bars, restaurants, and small businesses.
I love the Jags at the Texans. All right. Here's an interesting game because we talked earlier about Jalen Hurts. Eagles go into Atlanta. Interesting game. We'll get to see the premiere of Kyle Pitts, the highly touted tight end for the Falcons. What do you guys think?
So in my pick'em, I actually took Atlanta over Philadelphia, even though I've got Hurts as my quarterback in both of my fantasy 12-man leagues. So hopefully he has a good day for me and picks up a couple rushing touchdowns or something. But I think Matt Ryan's a hell of a quarterback. He, with no weapons really around him the last couple seasons, I mean, he's got, don't get me wrong, he's got Ridley.
I almost choked on my coffee.
Don't get me wrong, he's got Ridley, he's got Julio Jones, right? But other than that, the guy's got a crap offensive line around him. He's trying to run for his life, and he's not that quarterback. I think this season we're going to see a little bit more consistency out of the Falcons, and I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a big part of that. You're going to see a lot of 10 to 12 yard dump off routes to him, and he's just going to body people and move the ball down the field.
And by the way, for the Eagles, look out. He's going to be the best wide receiver rookie coming out, Devontae Smith.
Interesting prediction. I've got him in one of my leagues.
So he is in the perfect situation. There's nobody else around him. He's got all the opportunity in the world to shine.
I will say this as a fan. Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, can I tell you, I'm sitting here with my pants off because for those who just tuned in, I took them out because I peed in it. So excited about opening day. But I mean, it's not easy sitting here naked. So I'm going to go put another pair of pants on. We're going to come back and talk more NFL football, the world's best fantasy show on the 1252 Sports Entertainment Network. Tarbill, how much does that weigh on your head, Mouse?
It's not very heavy. It's just a piece of foam.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and I'm going to come back with pants on. Goodbye.
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show as well as the 1252 brand because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend. Or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
That cold brew from Nick and Ivy looks so good. It's been over 100 degrees here for I don't know how long. I had no beard when it was in the 90s and now 100. Welcome back. World's best fantasy football show. The Mouse, Tarbill, me. And let's start going down and talking about LA Chargers visit the Washington Capitol. I know you guys love Fitzmagic, and you know I don't. So let's talk about this game, guys. What do you expect from Justin Herbert?
I think he picks
now that
up
the
right where he
league's had
left.
a chance to see him for an entire season.
I think he picks up right where he left off last year. I think he has a great game. He's going to lock on to Keenan Allen. He's got Mike Williams there on the outside before he gets hurt. I don't know. I think he has a solid game today. Even going up against the Washington defense.
So I'm a huge Austin Eckler fan, and I think he's going to have a major stake in that game. But I believe Fitzmagic and the Washington football team are going to pull that one out.
Two of my favorite running backs in the NFL are in this game. Eckler, as you just said, and on the other side of the ball, I'm crazy about Antonio Gibson on the Skins. I think he has a chance to be the number one running back at the end of the season. You know, and we got to stop saying if he stays healthy. If we stay healthy, we might last all season doing this show. I mean, so Antonio Gibson is a stud. What about the wideouts for both teams? Washington specifically, you've got Curtis Samuel is out. So who replaces him?
I don't think it matters for fantasy. I think the only wide receiver you're looking at on the football team is Terry McLaurin.
I would agree.
Good.
Oh,
Kid is so good. I got the Chargers upsetting Washington. Let's go to Buffalo where Pittsburgh comes in. The Steelers, Najee Harris. They're going to stack the box, I would imagine, the Bills, don't you?
I would surely imagine so, but I don't think it matters. Najee Harris is, in my opinion, going to have an incredible game today. And I'm not saying that because I'm an Alabama fan. I think the kid's a beast, and I really hope to see him succeed in this league. And today's the start of his story, so to speak. So let's see what he does.
I don't think the Bills need to stack the box on him because you on the outside, you still have Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and then Juju's going to be coming out of the slot. You have great wide receivers. I don't think.
And they have a really good rookie tight end.
Yeah, they got Pat Freiermuth, but
Right.
I mean, you can't stack the box because then Big Ben's just going to pick you apart.
So one question I have to ask you guys, how long can Big Ben really last in this league? Why have the Steelers not started grooming his replacement quarterback?
Well, I think they are grooming the replacement with Dwayne Haskins. I just think Dwayne was put into the wrong system, et cetera. I really do believe it. But I will tell you, in watching everything that I've seen and highlights and everything, Ben looks in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to remember this team started out 11-0 last year, and then it fell apart. I'm just, if their defense holds up to the history of the Steelers defense, I think we're going to see the Steelers in the running again. I really do. Question for you guys for the Bills. If the Bills are Super Bowl contenders because of Josh Allen, probably might singularly be the best quarterback in the NFL, wouldn't you have drafted a running back this past season? I haven't their running backs really failed, Singletary and Moss?
Yeah, I would have brought somebody, and if not through the draft, bring in a free agent. I mean, you're not going to get the job done with a mixture of Singletary and Moss. They've proven time and time again that they can't do it.
And I really feel sorry for, the people who love the Buffalo has a fandom like crazy. You know, even look at all the crap that the Ravens just went through the last couple of weeks, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But, you know, how do you not go out and get a Latavius Murray? Using what Tyler just said, just bring him in there. Moss and Singletary have proven that they're really not good carrying the ball.
Well, I mean, Le'Veon Bell was a free agent up until this past week, so they could have gone out and picked him up just to add some depth and some competition on the roster. Clearly, with injuries, he may be getting a shot to play in an NFL game here, but only time will tell on that.
Hey, let's go to Detroit. This game should be off the board already. The 49ers go into Detroit. You got Jimmy Garoppolo as the QB. Do you think we'll see Trey Lance on some trick plays today?
Yeah, I think they work him in.
I think they work him in, and we'll talk about it later when we touch on the Bears game, of course, but I think you're going to see something similar from Justin Fields as to what you'll see in San Francisco today. You know, they'll work him into some design packages, some trick plays, etc. Got to get his feet wet somehow.
So on the Lions side of the ball, we're going to see a Super Bowl quarterback. Is there anybody on the Lions they have other than DeAndre Swift?
I don't even think DeAndre. Yeah, T.J. Hawkinson, but I don't think DeAndre Swift is even a good play. If you can get him out of your lineup for week one, if you have a chance, I would. I don't think he does a whole lot today.
I agree. No, I hate the Lions, so.
But hey,
they're easy to hate, and I feel sorry for Detroit fans.
Yeah.
I just feel sorry for them. How long can a team be this bad in the NFL? I mean, how
poverty
long?
Franchise.
And that's why when we go down and we start talking about the Bears tonight, I don't know why everybody's so excited about Matthew Stafford. I mean,
well,
Matthew Stafford had some of the greatest wide receivers we've seen in our lifetime. And I just don't know, but we'll talk about that later. Let's go into Cincinnati where Joe Burrow's back and the Vikings are the visiting opponent. What do you think about Burrow today?
I think Burrow's going to have a good game.
Or is he still hurt?
I believe he's back as far as I know. Is that correct, Tyler?
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but do you think he's going to do what he did in his rookie year, how hot he started? I mean, they've got some great offensive weapons on the Bengals.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a good season overall. As much as I don't want to say it, if he stays healthy, but obviously with the injury last season, you have to consider some re-injury risk there. But if he plays the entire season, I think he's going to put up solid numbers. I think that the Bengals did him a justice by bringing in a guy that he's familiar with in the draft. So we'll see what happens, but
right now, Jamar Chase hasn't panned out. He had a terrible preseason. Terrible.
Yeah.
He's got the case of the droppies like there's no tomorrow. And don't forget, Jamar Chase hasn't really played football for over 2 years? Because he opted out in his last season in college.
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, this is a guy who hasn't really been hit in a while. That's got to take some adjustments.
I think with all rookie wide receivers, they need some time to adjust to the NFL. I think he'll be all right going into the back half of the year, but I think he just needs some time to adjust to the game speed of the NFL.
You know, on the Viking side of the ball, you've got a couple of studs, but I worry about, what we have to find out, guys? When do they do COVID testing? Is it before the game, the day before, the morning of? Because you got Kirk Cousins without a shot in his arm that you could set him to play today and find out he's under COVID protocol and can't play.
They test all week long. With the unvaccinated players, the league has been very strict as of late. I mean,
right.
They're doing everything that they can to mitigate the COVID impact on the NFL this year, but realistically it is still out there, so it's something you have to consider. Unfortunately, I mean, we're in this day and age where you have to consider, is my guy going to go out with COVID or be under protocol because he was a close contact? And I mean, that's why for a guy like Kirk Cousins, if you're starting him, which I wouldn't be because I hate Kirk Cousins, but if you were starting Kirk Cousins, you almost have to have a solid quarterback on your bench that you can throw in at any time.
It's very selfish
you have to take.
It's very selfish to his fans and his teammates by getting, and I'm not here preaching, but in certain levels, you just have to do this. It's a shot in the arm. You don't get sick from it because there's no whatchamacallit in it. It's going to be something to watch. Here's my favorite game of the day coming up in Carolina. The Jets go into Carolina. I mean, there's so many behind the scenes stories here. Darnold against his old team. And where did Darnold all of a sudden become good that they're counting on him in Carolina with those offensive weapons?
Well, Sam Darnold played for the Jets, so you can't really account anything to the football we've seen on tape because he played for the Jets and they're the laughing stock of the NFL. I mean, I think Sam Darnold's a solid quarterback. He's more than likely, I would say he's a bridge guy. I don't think he's going to be the starter there for 10 years, but I think he's going to have an okay game today. I don't think he's going to be great. I think he's a game manager at best. He'll do just enough to win you a game or do just enough to lose you a game. He won't blow the doors off either way. And I think that with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, it doesn't matter that much.
So Sam Darnold, I actually like Sam Darnold on the Panthers for the one reason is he's not with Adam Gase anymore. Look at the track record of guys who've gotten away from Adam Gase and what they've done afterwards. You have Ryan Tannehill, Devontae Parker, Damian Williams, Jay Ajayi, all those guys that the second they get away from Adam Gase, they just blow up. I think it's just Adam Gase is the issue with everybody.
Adam Gase is an idiot, and Matt Nagy's play calling's horrible. You heard it here first.
Oh, save your Bears thought. On the other side of the ball, everything I read is Zach Wilson's going to be the next super stud of the NFL. And he does have some weapons. He doesn't have a running game, but he does have some good wideouts, and there's a good rookie tight end over there too. So it's going to be an interesting game to watch. Wilson really seems like he was a good draft pick.
I think he's got some good upside. I think that I don't think he was the best player they could have taken in that position. Obviously, I I think Justin Fields was the second best quarterback in the draft, and I think more than half of the league's GMs were under that same consensus. So I think that they made a mistake taking him when they did, but I think he's going to have some upside for the Jets, and I think you'll see him win more than one game this season. They might get 2 or 3.
And then next year, we're watching college football to see who their first pick will be. Moving over, we're flying to Tennessee right now, and we've got the Cardinals coming in. There's a big question about the Cards. I really don't understand. Are the Cardinals good or bad? Is this Kingsbury's last go-around trying to make the Cardinals relevant?
Yes, I do think this is his last go-around to make the Cardinals relevant. Are they good? That's yet to be seen. I think Murray has tremendous upside as a quarterback, and he's improved almost every game, but he doesn't have a great supporting cast around him either. What's your thoughts, Tyler?
So I do like the Cardinals. I think Cliff Kingsbury, with the weapons that offense has, he is the perfect coach for it. You got Kyler Murray running the same offense he was in college, and now you have guys like DeAndre Hopkins. You got Rondale Moore. A.J. Green's in the fold now. You have Chase Edmonds coming out of the backfield. The problem's not with the offense. The defense needs to step it up this year. The defense was awful last year. And just any sort of step forward from the defense, I think the Cardinals are in playoff contention for the season.
Really? Even being in the
even
division,
in the NFC West? Yeah.
It is a tough division, but what were they last year? 8-8, 7-9? They were right there, and Kyler Murray was playing great football until he got hurt towards the end of the season. The last couple of weeks, they kind of tapered off a little bit because he was hurt.
I would say that division is probably the most competitive division in the NFL, in my opinion.
No doubt about it.
It's the best division in the league.
Are the Titans a Super Bowl team this year? I love Tannehill. And now adding Julius Jones to those wideouts. Yes, they lost Johnny Smith, their tight end, but the bottom line is you got Henry and you got 2 strong wideouts, and there's something about Tannehill that drives me crazy.
I think with Derrick Henry in the backfield, that team, the sky is the limit. I mean, Tannehill's a good quarterback. We saw last year the numbers that he put up and the way that he was able to distribute the ball was at a very high level. I think you could see them in the playoffs this year for sure.
Yeah, I think they win the division easy, and I think they are a contender, but I don't think they get back by Kansas City or Buffalo. I think those 2 teams are still better than them.
It's interesting, but we're going to take a break right now on the world's best fantasy show. We're going to be back on the 1252 Sports Entertainment Network. My pants have finally dried, guys, just letting you know.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll hear from the Jonathan Darren team with the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group, and we'll be right back with you.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Darren, licensed real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group in Homer Glen. Are you looking to buy or sell? Have you been disappointed in the past? The Jonathan Darren team with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group focuses on providing you with a concierge level of service during the process of buying or selling. We are a service-oriented team with a fresh and professional approach to selling real estate. Our goal is to combine knowledge, skills, and passion to exceed our clients' expectations, and most of all, we truly care. We are a knowledgeable real estate team focused on offering expertise and innovative solutions for our clients. The Jonathan Darren team has 5 full-service real estate brokers and a dedicated full-time marketer servicing all of Chicagoland. We will customize a detailed plan around your timeline for a sale, purchase, investment, estate, or other needs. Real estate transactions can be stressful, but don't need to be. Let us handle it for you. Visit our website, homesbyjdt.com, or call 708-308-1938 today. Expect better in real estate. Choose the Jonathan Darren team.
Real estate is hot right now, and you need an attorney to handle all of this. My guy, Mark Berardi, does this all day long. He's a straight shooter. There's no fancy language. He's just to the point. And he and his team get the deal done. There's no BS. He also does estate planning, trusts, wills, and power of attorney. He has great reviews up and down the board from a ton of happy clients. For him and his big team, they're all just down to earth and normal people as much as he is. You will not be disappointed you went with him. He's located in Homer Glen and New Lenox and handles real estate all over Illinois. There's no place too far, so give him a call today at 708-942-8030. Again, that's 708-942-8030, or look him up online at Mark Berardi and Associates.
And
Welcome
a huge
back
thank
to-
you. And a huge thank you to our sponsors here on the 1252 Sports Network. We're back after that quick intermission. Let's keep going down the list here, guys.
Well, let's then go into Kansas City, where it's going to be an interesting game. The Browns go in. What do you guys think? My God, this is going to be high-scoring affair. I've got it first and foremost, easily. And what's the story?
I think
Have
the
you
Browns
heard anything about Odell Beckham? How's he feeling?
I'll let Tyler speak on Odell because I'm sure he's a little more privy to that than I am. But I think the Browns are going to have a hell of a season. That team is going to put up a lot of points. They're going to be very tough to beat. And the Bears have them here early in the season, I believe week 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I think that team's going to put up a heck of a lot of points all season long.
So OBJ is likely to play today. He is a true game time decision, but he is likely to play. I don't know how.
Got a comment
I don't know
here.
how
Bear down, Tyler.
Involved he. I don't know how involved he'll actually be in the game coming back, and especially being on the injury report leading up. But I think he's a nice decoy out there. I do like this game a lot this week. I'm a big fan of Nick Chubb. The Chiefs, they let players or teams run all over them. They want you to try and beat them that way because they know it's not going to happen. I think Nick Chubb does have a great game, but KC pulls the game out. It's going to be.
And so does Kareem Hunt. I think both of them are going over 100 yards today from the backfield because you can run on the Chiefs. And, let's remember one thing. Nobody's talking about, and I know everybody thinks it's the greatest team in the last 10 years, the Chiefs, but the last time I saw them play non-preseason, I saw them get embarrassed. I saw them lose. I mean, did that teach certain people how to defend against them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, I think the Browns win this game in an upset.
I think.
And Kansas City,
I think you could throw that Super Bowl game out. I think you can throw the Super Bowl out. Their entire offensive line was hurt for that game, and so the front seven for the Bucs was just able to get back in the backfield every play. They've improved their offensive line a ton in the offseason. I think they're the favorite, and they should be the favorite for the next couple of years. This is the best team we've seen in a long time.
Well, this is an interesting game that Alan just typed in on us about the fact, keep Mahomes off the field. The Browns probably can be the most successful team of keeping Mahomes off the field by just running the ball. And when you have not one, you got, sometimes they say it's a 1A and a 1B. You got 2 1As right there. Applaud the GM for picking up Kareem Hunt that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted him because of some accusations and everything else. Come on, we're grown-ups, we're adults. Kareem Hunt is a stud, and there are so many people we've just been talking about that need a running back, a quality running back, and they could have had Hunt for next to nothing. And I give credit to the Browns for not giving him up. Yes, Chubb is a stud. But my God, Kareem Hunt, you don't have to throw the ball, and I think the Browns could win this game. That's just me.
Bold prediction.
Hey, Big deal. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let's go to, I love this game. I love this game. Two Alabama quarterbacks going up against each other as the Dolphins fly into New England. And this is going to be a fun game. But I think Miami, I think Tua, I think Tua, like Tebow before him, et cetera, great college athlete, not exactly a great pro.
I would definitely agree with that. I think there were troubling signs with Tua at the end of his Alabama career that kind of pointed that he was not going to be an NFL caliber quarterback. I may be wrong. I may be shooting myself in the foot by saying that. As everyone knows, I'm an Alabama fan, but I think Mac Jones is clearly the better quarterback out of the two. So I think the Patriots pull this one out today. I think that they're going to run a lot of tight end heavy sets. They're going to push the ball down the field with Mac Jones 10 to 15 yards at a time.
To my guy, Jacoby Myers.
I think they will dink and dunk their way to a victory.
Yeah, no, I think the Pats do pull this one out. I think they, with all the retooling they did in the offense, I'd rather trust Bill Belichick with Mac Jones than trying to trust Tua on the other side from what we saw last year after he took over.
Well, and that's the thing. You say Bill Belichick, I mean, Mac Jones is in the perfect system for him to succeed.
Yes.
If he can't succeed under Coach Bill Belichick and the offense that they've built around him and retooled for him, he's not going to succeed anywhere. So Mac Jones is either going to break out and be a good quarterback or he'll be a backup in 2 years. But I think he's going to have a good career personally.
By the way, Mac Jones comes out today and his offense, I'm the Pats and I'm with you. I think the Pats are going to romp today. What's a better offense? Mac Jones today as the starter for the Patriots, or Mac Jones last year as the starter for Alabama? Who had the better offense? I go Mac Jones last year on Alabama.
I would have to agree with that as well. I mean, Alabama's been a breeding ground for high-level NFL talent on the offensive side of the ball, as well as some defensive players. You know, they do get a lot of corners and players in the secondary out of Alabama that are good, but realistically, you've got so many offensive weapons on Alabama's team every year because every player wants to go there. They know that if they go to the University of Alabama, they're going to be on a winning team. They know they're going to
be on national television almost every week.
They're going to be on national TV almost every week. They're going to play for an amazing coach in Nick Saban. And, well, amazing college coach, obviously was not an amazing NFL coach, but they're not one and the same. I think we've seen that time and time again, but you know, you've got, I believe Nick Saban is now the winningest coach in college football history. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Ahead of Bear Bryant?
Okay, maybe he is still behind Bear Bryant, but either way,
he's phenomenal. One last thing about the Patriots. All these years when Brady was there and everything else, their running backs are phenomenal. I think the Patriots have 4 guys, 5 guys that could really be starters on other teams.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the running back by committee philosophy in itself.
Well, no fantasy player is.
Well, and not just for fantasy purpose. I mean, as a fan, it's hard to get behind that concept because to me, when you say you have running back by committee, it means you don't have enough faith in one guy for them to be the starter and to handle the load on the field. So it's running back by committee is a little too gimmicky for me. I mean, it worked for Philadelphia a few years ago, obviously, but time and time again, running back by committee is just average at best.
So we've seen it work before over and over again for the Patriots. That's why Bill Belichick continues to use it. He brings in guys he knows that can do certain things, and he only uses them for those certain things. He's not trying – so Damian Harris isn't a great pass-catching back. He's not using him to catch passes because he's got James White. I think he uses his running backs perfectly at what they're good at, and he'll use the other guys at what they're good at. I think he does the best job in the NFL of doing it.
I would agree.
It's going to be interesting. There's another great rookie playing there in that game. Obviously, Waddle with Tua. Is there a hookup, or does Waddle wish he was on New England? Let's go to New York. Applaud with all the New Yorkers, along with everybody else. The 9/11 tributes yesterday were phenomenal. And the Giants, I'm sure, will do a tribute today also. But you got an interesting team coming in there, and that's the Denver Broncos. Interesting. This is obviously going to be Daniel Jones' last make or break it, I think, for the Giants. You guys?
It has to be.
Yes.
And I don't think you're going to get a lot out of Saquon today, especially against the Broncos defense. But who I love on the Broncos is Javonte Williams. I think they're going to start out sharing him and Melvin Gordon, and then Melvin's going to go, bye-bye, Melvin. And that's it, because I think Melvin Gordon has been a bust ever since he held out for more money. He was never that good of a running back to begin with. And I really, if you guys want, if he's still available, shame on your league, but Javonte Williams is going to be a stud there. I want to go with those wide receivers with Cortland Sutton and everything else, but I can't believe in the quarterbacks in Denver. And obviously near the Denver, that's probably the biggest mistake Denver made, was not taking Justin Fields.
Absolutely. I'm happy they didn't, but they clearly need a quarterback they can trust over there, and Drew Lock is not it.
Yeah, so
and neither is Teddy Bridgewater.
I think Teddy.
And don't forget, they're going to be good enough because of their defense that they're not going to get a high draft pick. Unless they trade Melvin Gordon for Melvin Gordon could only bring in probably at best a 4th-round draft pick.
That's what I was going to say, a 4.
Yeah, so I mean,
especially with all that contract he has too, nobody's going to be paying anything more than the 4.
And his contract came. I think they got hysterical and they made a big mistake. Here's Tyler. I'm going to throw this to Tyler right now. Going into New Orleans, courtesy of Jacksonville, because of Hurricane Ida, we got the Mouse's team, the Packers. What do you see out of this game, Tyler?
I think the Packers stomp them. I think it would be a close game if it was in New Orleans, but with the game being played in Jacksonville, they're not going to have the home field advantage. They're not going to be playing in their dome. I think the Packers go in there, they stomp them.
I'm going to say this now, bold prediction. Alvin Kamara, 3 touchdowns. Packers lose 34-31.
Okay.
All right.
The interesting question here on the other side of the ball is who I think is going to be a stud this season. And I think he was a stud the last time he played. Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is going to have what Breeze had with Michael Thomas. Jameis Winston's going to have this with this kid, Marcus Callaway. I think this kid, if you've seen him in preseason, this kid is phenomenal. And Jameis knows how to get him the ball. And maybe it's better for Jameis playing in Florida instead of Louisiana. Less pressure, so to speak, on him. But, I always have an argument about interceptions. When you see a ball through a wide receiver's hands, like yesterday in college, I forgot what game I was watching. There were so many games on. I don't think that should be counted as an interception against the quarterback. He did nothing wrong. He got the guy the ball.
I would agree. I think that should be counted against the receiver. But the problem is, how do you dictate that? How do you manage it? Then the receivers would argue that it wasn't their fault, blah, blah, blah. There'd be a lot of controversy, and it could end up severing relationships on teams between the receiver and the quarterback as well.
I just think it's going to be an interesting game. And Tyler, coming back down to you, are people are Aaron Jones owners going to be a little bit scared? I think A.J. Dillon's going to be more of the offense than has been in the past.
I think A.J. Dillon just takes the Jamal Williams role from the last couple of years. So Jamal Williams has always been involved. It's always been a 55-45, 60-40 split between Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. I think it's still more of the same. A.J. Dillon's going to get the short yardage stuff, but you're going to get Aaron Jones between the 20s. He's going to be the guy catching passes, and he's the more explosive player, and he can bring one to the house at any point.
Okay. Now, Tyler, you said you think the
Tyler,
Packers
one
are
more
going
Packer
to
question
stomp today. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, Tarbill.
Tyler, you said you think the Packers are going to stomp today, in your words. What do you think the score is going to be? I'm interested to know.
35-21.
I would not consider that a stomping.
Oh,
That's
go
a two-touchdown game.
Yeah, the spread right now is 3.5. Packers are favored by 3.5. That's actually one of my favorite bets this week.
Do you think they need, Tyler, from Davante Adams, or nobody can cover Davante Adams?
Could you repeat that? You broke up a little bit there.
What do you think? Do they need somebody to step up to complement Davante Adams? Randall Cobb. Rodgers wanted him. Is he going to try to make Cobb look good because he wanted him on the team?
So we've seen over the last couple of years that he hyper targets Davante. He's probably the best wide receiver he's ever played with. Well, I think the move to get Cobb was just somebody else in the offense he trusts. Because we've seen time and time again, he doesn't trust guys like MVS, Geronimo Allison a couple of years ago he doesn't trust those guys. I think Cobb is just another guy he can play in the middle of the field that he can trust if he can't get the ball to Davante or Aaron Jones.
You know, Tyler, I'm really surprised that you're not high on Marquez Valdez-Scantling just for the fact that he put up almost 1,000 yards last season.
Dude is garbage, man. He would put up 2,000 yards if he didn't drop 20 passes a year.
I was just going to say he doesn't have exactly the greatest hands. Hey, Tarbill, let's do a technical question before. Do we have one more break?
No, we're good to go. We can go straight through.
Then let's go into the two highlighted games of today and tomorrow. Tonight's game. Right here, probably about 12 to 14 miles away from me, SoFi Stadium. It's going to be interesting to see the stadium filled with all the fans because the stadium, I've not been there, but I am covering it today for 1252 Network. I don't know if you know this, but Mike sends me out there, sends me some stuff, and we go out there. No, I'm only kidding. What do you think? Are the Bears going to be competitive today against the Rams? I don't see it.
Here's my initial thought. Or, well, I guess my initial question before I get into my thoughts on the game would be, in what capacity do we see Justin Fields this evening? Do they have
I don't think at all. I don't think you're going to see Fields at all.
You don't think
what
they
Tyler,
have?
You agree?
You don't
I don't
think that
think
Matt Nagy has a Justin Fields packaged where he's going to throw him out there?
No, I don't.
You don't think if the Rams are up 28-0 at halftime that Matt Nagy doesn't throw Andy Dalton on the bench and put Justin Fields in the game?
Okay, so that's different than setting up a package for him. I think there's a very high likelihood that Dalton does get benched. I don't think Matt Nagy's scheming up just certain packages to bring Fields out into the game.
Dan Orlovsky, who does a great job on ESPN.
Yes.
I don't know if you agree, but Dan Orlovsky does a great job on ESPN. I think this guy's a future star on ESPN. He wasn't a great quarterback, but he was probably better than Mitchell Trubisky. He stated that if the Rams are running away with the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that if Dalton gets benched, they'll bring in Nick Foles.
If they do that, Bears fans will lose their mind.
Well, Bears fans should lose their mind.
There will be riots on the streets of Chicago.
Well, luckily they're not playing in Chicago. But when you look at the common sense, if Fields is able to come in and play for an injured Dalton or a bench Dalton, then why didn't he start? And don't tell me he was promised Andy Dalton my time. I can't stand Andy Dalton just for him saying it's my time. F you, Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton played that situation perfectly. I think he came out in that presser, in my opinion, and said, they promised me the starting job before Chicago had gave him that assurance. And I think he's pulling a Seinfeld move on everyone, and he just came out and said, well, they promised me, so now Matt Nagy has to live up to it so he doesn't look like he's going back on his word. I mean, I'm joking. But in all seriousness, if Andy Dalton goes out of the game and you see Nick Foles go into the game, Chicago Bears fans will be livid. Justin Fields is the only quarterback out of this rookie class that is not starting, and Matt Nagy said he's ready. And then in the next breath, he's also
Lance
said
isn't starting either.
But that is mostly due to injury, right? The finger injury and everything that happened there. I mean, I think if he was healthy throughout the entire preseason, he'd probably be the starter. But realistically, with Justin Fields, there's so much upside with his legs behind a bad offensive line. He adds such a dynamic there that I don't see Andy Dalton succeeding in this offense. I don't see him playing well tonight. I think we're going to be at a 21-0, 28-0 situation at halftime. And I hate to say that.
I agree with you.
But then I think we're going to see Justin Fields come out in the second half and try to scrounge something up. And I think we see the Bears, if that's the case, I think we still see the Bears lose maybe, let's say, 34-21 or something like that.
Is there anybody on the Bears that you would play tonight in fantasy?
I am playing Allen Robinson tonight. He's my number 2 wide receiver in both my fantasy leagues.
Yeah,
so
I think it's Allen Robinson and Montgomery, I think, is all you play.
Yeah, Montgomery's going to – if Matt Nagy sticks to what he said all offseason, which is that he's going to give David Montgomery 20 carries a game, we all know that's bullshit. He's going to give him 7 carries and go away from the run. But
he'll have 7 carries for 68 yards in the first half, and he won't carry again.
Yeah, I would agree. And hopefully a touchdown for those that have him on their team. Matt Nagy and his play calling, I don't want to get into that because I could sit here and rant about it for a whole nother hour. I mean, Matt Nagy is a very good leader of men, I would say, but he is a horrible play caller. When you go to the red zone and you run a fucking tight end sweep in the red zone after David Montgomery marched the ball 85 yards down the field and your tight end gets tackled for a 3-yard loss, that's everything I need to know about Matt Nagy's play calling. I am not a fan of Matt Nagy's play calling. I think Bill Lazor did a better job last year towards the end of the season, and I think Lazor should be the guy calling the plays still in Chicago, in my opinion. But we're getting away from the game.
I'll do you both a favor, and I'll let you know what's going on in the Bear game because I get it 2 hours before you guys do.
This is true.
Get it? I'm on the West Coast. Okay. Monday Night Football. The interesting thing, before we get into Baltimore visiting Las Vegas, is going to be the show on ESPN2 with the Mannings talking about the game. Why, when you have football alone, you have a football game alone, a standalone game that you're telling people you want to laugh, You'll get the same knowledge of the game, but go to ESPN2 and watch the Mannings talk about tonight's football game live as it's happening. I don't get that. But I'm
not a big fan of that, but
I'm going to watch it because I love Manning's. The Ravens, let's talk. Jason Williams. What do you guys think? Here's a guy who, or does Jackson run for 100+ yards?
I absolutely think Jackson runs for at least 80 yards.
Is Jason Williams somebody to look at, or do you wait for Latavius Murray?
You mean Tyson Williams?
Tyson Williams.
Yep.
Tyson Williams.
Yeah, I think he's an RB2 for this week. The Vegas defense is not very good. The Ravens came out and said he's done nothing but impress during the whole training camp and preseason. They're going to give him every opportunity to run away with the job because nobody else is there yet. Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray, they're not there yet. They're going to give him every chance to succeed in the offense. And, yeah, I think he's an RB2 for this week.
On the other side of the ball, the Raiders, Josh Jacobs owners got to worry a little bit about Kenyon Drake.
I would agree with that. I'm not huge on Josh Jacobs. I think he's an okay back, but he's not a guy that I've ever targeted. I'll put it that way.
He's a volume back. That was why he compiled the finishes he did. His first 2 seasons was just sheer volume. There was nobody else back there. And then they started working in guys like Jalen Richard and stuff. And now you have Kenyon Drake there with a terrible offensive line, and he's not very efficient as is. It's not going to be a good year for him.
And it's going to be very interesting because the 2 starting wideouts for Derek Carr, who doesn't get enough. He's like emotionally a step behind Ryan Tannehill. They're very good quarterbacks, but nobody gives them credit. But you're going to have some speed on the wideouts. If Carr can have a couple of 2 seconds to breathe back there, you got Ruggs and you got my breakout star for the entire season is Bryan Edwards, and he's starting for the Raiders this week. I have him on my team. He's not starting for me, but he's good. Guys,
I have him on a bunch of teams. I love Bryan Edwards. I actually hope a couple years ago, or the Jordan Love draft, I was hoping the Packers drafted him in that draft since we needed another wide receiver.
Can you imagine Rodgers with Bryan Edwards and Devontae Adams?
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
You got a Super Bowl then.
Bryan Edwards went in the 3rd round. We had 2 separate chances to get him. But no, we wanted Jordan Love.
And you took a quarterback that's not going to be a starter.
A lot of good players.
And A.J. Dillon that's not going to be a starter.
Right.
Unbelievable. Guys, it's Sunday. I got to get the chips ready. I got to get the beer. I had Nick and Ivy send me some cold beer. It's in the fridge right now. I am so psyched up. We have a couple of bowls, some sativa to start the afternoon games, then some indica for the night games. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll. Tyler, Tarbill, I wish you guys all the luck today. I wish myself luck. And from the 1252 Sports Entertainment Network, this is the world's best fantasy show. Good luck, everybody. We'll be back here next week. I'll probably be embarrassed as crap from how bad I did. And these 2 guys will start out 1-0. Say goodbye, guys.
Take care, guys.
Adios.
It's game day.